I'm very happy that this came together very quickly. And but sometimes we know when I reach out to people and ask them if they would like to be on the podcast, sometimes I need to wait
Yeah,
weeks, month. Everything is possible. So I was very happy that you said yes very easily. So hi Steve, welcome to Building Deep Tech. Maybe you can give us a short intro who you are and what you guys doing, and then we go on the usual journey here.
for sure. Yeah. Thank you, Ilya, for the invitation. So really excited to be on your podcast. So being a huge fan of your podcast, your LinkedIn and everything. So I'm Steve, founder, CEO of LiveWell. So LiveWell is a synthetic data and simulation provider to accelerate embodied AI, physical AI. And we started our journey back in 2023. And now we are already the largest, I would say, simulation provider across the world, supporting all the robotics companies there. That includes Figure 1X, AGI Bot, Galbot, DeepMind, NVIDIA, ByteDance, Alibaba, you name it, all kind of the world's leading frontier robotics labs and also robotics companies. Yeah, so really, really excited to be on this journey.
I mean, it's always nice to have someone here who knows what they're doing and being pretty fast, pretty successful. We come to this part later on, but thanks for the name dropping. I mean, that might help drag some people along the episode. But maybe we can go back in time first, and you
Yep.
tell me a little bit about your background and your history, your upbringing. These things I'm always very interested. This is a huge part of the podcast because I'm trying to unfold and see what are the patterns, what makes a good founder, what makes a founder in general, what makes someone who thinks it would be a good idea to become an entrepreneur. So let's go back in time and tell me how things started for you.
For sure, yeah. So I did bachelor at Peking University in physics, you
Mm.
know, and uh, and I still remember when I just got into Peking University in the physics department. So I thought I would be ranked, very top in the department, but then I found out, all my classmates they are super smart, you
Mm.
know, and so I still remember that I worked to 1 a.m. every day, all my time studying, studying, studying. But in the midterm, I was only ranking probably 110 over 220, so 50%, 50 percentile across the whole department at the time of the physics department. So at that time, I realized that it's a really really talented and very competitive department, and I need to find my very unique approach in order to stand out, right? So I would say that was also probably my first time that I was not immediately on top, right? So that also uh, triggered my competitiveness that
Mm.
I want to be stay on top. So I would say for the right rest of the few years there, I probably worked to 3 a.m. every day for the rest of my college years. And in the end, I was probably the top five among all the physics students in that department graduating. But to be honest, that gave me the impression that I could work very hard to rank on top, but probably I wasn't very, very talented to do physics. There are all my uh, uh, college friends that who are playing video games, who didn't go to the class, but they could still get pretty good results, right? But for me, I had to work till 3 a.m. in the morning, right? So then I found out, what? I need to find out my like very very unique competitive advantage. So during my senior year, I chose to postpone my graduation for 1 year. I transferred to Columbia University to do 1 year in Columbia University in economics and finance because I want to try something new. So I realized that physics is too hard. Probably finance, economics is easier. I did pretty well there, and also I would say one very interesting at the time is so I didn't realize that, but that was 2008. Uh, there was this financial crisis started to happen during the time, and and suddenly I realized what is the thing really affecting everyone and also impacting the world. So I found out finance is pretty impacting the world, right? In at that time, pretty much a negative way, but maybe I could do something, you know, to make it a more positive influence to the world. That probably is more interesting than physics, which I don't think really have that much significant advancements for those years.
Um, let's stay there for a second because when
Yeah,
you said that this didn't came very easy to you, you were doing good because you put in all the hours and all the work. So this is a trait that I see among the founders, like working really hard, and some of them are very gifted. So there's still hard work involved, but on other levels. When you said that you that you just found out that there's a lot of clever people at the university.
yeah,
Was that something that was new to you because earlier in your earlier years and in school,
yeah.
that was something that you were on top of class and there were not too many people on the same level as you were?
Yeah, totally. I would say probably through my years, my elementary school, probably starting my kindergarten or elementary school, middle school, high school, I probably was always ranking probably the top in my class, in my school, right? And also very competitive in all type of exams and also tests, right? So I was pretty familiar with being on top, right? But I would say Peking University, especially for the physics department, is a very talented place. There were quite a few students who aged around who were around 13 years old, but got into the physics department because they are super talented. They did super well in the international physics exam, uh, things like that, right? So it's definitely at a totally different level. So I would say at that time, I suddenly realized some of the people, they are just more talented than the other people. That's something, to be honest, I didn't realize before. And later, when I was reading the book of Jeff Bezos, I kind of got very similar, uh, analogy of his story, right? Because he also studied physics. He wanted to be a physicist, and some of his, I would say, doormates, right, did really well in physics, but he couldn't do it, and he suddenly realized he needs to study something else, probably computer science. I would say I I was in the exact same boat. So I still remember in the first semester of my college, you know, um, like almost my doormates, I was the one studying. There was someone who's reading comics books all day long. There was someone who's playing video games all day long. I was the only one studying, but I was the one who ranked the lowest among the four people on my door, right? The one who reads the comics books was ranking top 10 among 220 people. And the one who was playing video games, the two of them, right? One was ranking like 30, the other was ranking like 50. I was ranking like 110. So that was the first time, I suddenly realized, no, I'm not that smart. There are way more people smarter than me, and I could work pretty hard. I would say, from a consistency, from a hard work perspective, I can totally be very competitive against other people. But I want to be in an area. One, I'm also talented, right? Second, I'm also working pretty hard, rather than in some area that like so from a competitiveness perspective, I'm just not that talented for that game.
The the realization of, okay, I'm not, I might, I mean, I'm hardworking and I'm dedicated, but I might not be as clever as I thought I I'm not as clever as I thought I am. Was it hard to swallow? Because I do remember reading some things that, especially kids that did very well in school, elementary school, high school, and then going to university, it can be a shock also for their ego, right? And their self-esteem. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
it was a super shock for the ego, I would say. I think I almost got depression.
hmm,
You know, yeah, especially before I came to the school, my expectation was pretty high. I also got I would say more senior college friend, right? So he was in his senior year. He already got offer from the top five physics PhD program in the whole world, right? For example, Harvard, Stanford, MIT, Chicago, and Princeton, right? He got all those five offers, and he was telling me, "Hey, Steve, you know what? The secret sauce is just work hard. If you work till 1 a.m., you will rank top five." So I was exactly talking about his strategy, but I rank top 50 percentile rather than top five. Yeah, so got quite depressed, like, and also uh, it just so at that time I didn't see a way out. I didn't see a way out because I could choose to study economics. I could study finance. I could study math, all these other things there. But I actually chose physics because I thought I was really, really good at physics. But
hmm.
and yeah, in my college, it's very difficult to transfer to other schools. It's very difficult to, like, only if you study really well, you can transfer into other majors. But if you are not studying that well, you are stuck with this major, right? Um, so it's pretty crazy at the time, so I did get pretty depressed. Um, but then later I just found out, you know what? The only way that I can get out is to work hard, is to work much, much harder than others to see what could happen, right? So that's exactly what I did.
And was that a realization that came just as a logical consequence, or was that something that you've seen others doing, or you got some advice, as you said, you've seen your friend
Yeah,
or family
yeah,
and friends? I'm always
yeah.
trying to understand this exact moment because this is a break and make moment, right? You could have just
Oh,
said, you know
shit.
what, I don't have I don't have it, right? I used to be very good in elementary school, high school. I've been top of my class, and now come to university and realize, I might not be as good as I thought, right? And then
Yeah,
you're ranking 50, which is still good by 220 people, but your expectation, as you said, there's a delta between what I thought I would be and where I am. Not everyone has the guts to, like what you said actually is the only way out is going through, right? To make it through. So but there's a difference between realizing what's necessary to get there, right? And then doing that.
yeah.
So how did this come together? Was there external pressure or family expectations? Or hope this is not too delicate for you, but I'm always trying to understand what makes you actually this switch of, okay, you know what? I just gonna do it.
Yeah, so I would say, so first I wasn't ranking 50, I was ranking 50 percentile. So I was ranking
Oh
110
yeah.
over
Mm,
120, right?
okay.
So it's not that good. It's not that good situation. So I was thinking of a few things there. I was thinking of transferring to other uh, uh, majors. I was even thinking about transferring to other potentially schools, right? And also other things there. But then I was starting to realize, like, if I don't have a really, really good, if I don't do well in physics, it's probably not going to happen either way, right? So it is actually a realization of reality. The reality is I have to study well in order to stand out. This is a pretty cruel game, in my opinion. And that's probably the only way out. I mean, if I study well, there are all those type of options for me. But if I don't, then I'm probably all stuck there. The other thing is the more I'm starting to study, the more I'm starting to socialize with other people, the more I also start to gain my confidence.
Mm,
You know, they are definitely very smart. They are very, very good at those exams, mainly because of they have done that before. They have all done those type of like international physics exam in their college, right? So that's why they can do well in their high school. So that's why they can do well in college because they have already learned this stuff in their high school. But I didn't. But I
Mm.
didn't, right? The other thing there is, yeah, um, they are pretty smart, but probably they may not be very good as strategic thinkers, right? They may not have very good plans of themselves. So
Mm.
they are they are playing video games, they are reading comics books, they are doing all those other things there rather than to excel about their talent, right? If I were in their situation, probably I would still try to work hard,
Mm.
right? So that I can be more competitive. Um, so that I start to give me more confidence of, maybe I'm not that bad, right? Maybe there's still a chance for me, right? And the first thing is I need to try it hard, like out really, really hard, right? And also I need to have a very, very blind faith. The blind faith I need to keep doing for not only 1 year now, so for not only one semester, not only 1 year, but 4 years. I have to do it really hard, really, really consistent in order to showcase how I can excel in the end, right? So I still remember that, the first semester, actually the midterm of first semester, I was ranking 110. And then probably the final of first semester, I was ranking number 80, right? And then in my second semester, I probably like in the final in the midterm of my second semester, I was probably ranking 70 or 60, something like that. And in the final of my first year, I was ranking in around 50. And then the final of my second year, I was ranking probably around 30. And then the final of my third year, to be honest, to my surprise, to everyone's surprise, I was ranking top five. I was ranking top five. So suddenly everyone's like, hey, who is this Steve? You know, like no one would imagine that I will be in top five. But here I am. That actually gave me a lot of confidence that even for the areas there that I wasn't very good at, I wasn't very competitive at, I am not talented at. If I play hard, if I work hard, if I'm being consistent, right? Like not only for 1 year, 2 year, but for 3 years, but for multiple years, I can still win out. The other very interesting thing is I'm actually from Beijing. And Peking University is in Beijing. But it's not like as for other students. Um, During the summertime, during the winter time, they go back home. I I live in my dorm for all my years at Peking University. The major reason there is I just want to stay focused to get this thing done. So that's also very, very crazy. I would say in retrospect, for those years, that I was just stay focused with this mission. Yeah.
And yeah, without getting too much into detail here, is that something that was the incentive was your willingness or your competitiveness? Was that something because um, I had guests on the podcast, for example. Everyone in the family was doctors, right? So it was
Yep.
expected to become a doctor, right? And then doing something else is very hard when you have so much expectation uh, laying on you, right?
Yep.
How was that for you? Was that something that was also surrounded? That was also an external, or was that total? Everything was like internal incentives.
Yeah, it's mainly internal. I mean, I do have a lot of family examples. For example, my grandpa. So he uh my grandpa passed away quite some time already, right? So he was born in 1918. 1918, right? So when he was 14 years old, he joined the Communist Party. So he was fighting, in all type of wars in China at the time, and also being a hero. Um, so he like I stayed with him for quite some years when I was a kid, because my parents are too busy, so I was staying with my parents. I was staying with my grandparents,
Hmm.
right? So definitely he showed me a lot of his role model and other things. But the other thing there is for my parents, for my grandparents, I mean, they are the one who's helping me to relax. They are always like, you know what, Steve, we don't have much expectation of you. No, we just want you to be healthy and happy.
Mm.
And but to be honest, is mainly in like it's mainly in internal for me as my competitiveness as, hey, why don't you have high expectation of me? I have very high expectation of myself.
Mm, that's good.
And I want to achieve something. I I I cannot see myself stuck here, right? Like having no out. There must be a way that I can get out of this, and the only way is to work hard, and work harder, right? So it's pretty interesting. So during the 4 years, like in my college, a lot of my classmates, they joined a lot of very interesting, very interesting clubs, unions. They got interns. They got girlfriends, they got boyfriends. Um, they got a lot of things fun. But for me, it's pure study because I know that's the only thing that I can do in order actually to get out of this. Yeah, but the other thing I would say, um, lucky for me is since at the end of my senior year, at the end of my uh, so at the end of my third year, I already ranked top five. So actually, I got the chance to transfer to Columbia University, right, to study something different, to postpone one year of my graduation, right, to study something different, so that I can have another choice. Yeah.
Um, I mean, it's great on one side. It's something that yeah, I got a lot of respect for being able to pull yourself through this time, very long hours, not only for a couple of days, but for weeks, for months, for years. This is what great results being. This is the foundation for great results. Do you think you missed out the other parts you were just mentioning because you were so focused? And is that something that you do regret or you are realizing? And maybe I give here a little example to makes it easier to answer. For me, it was very hard to accept, and this only happened a few years ago. I was unwilling to accept that you can't have it all. I was unwilling, right? So I asked myself why I was unable to have this realization earlier on. But everything you want, there's a price tag to it, right? And
Yeah.
you do need to make the decision if you're willing to pay the price. And you
Yeah.
said you have the opportunity after the third year going to Colombia. So from Beijing going to the other side of the world, one of the
Yep.
top universities in the world, that is an opportunity, and that might have been the cost of not having the luxury of reading comic books or
Yep.
but is that something that you regret, or you are so firm and are able to understand I can't
Yeah.
regret because I knew that this was the only way, right? How can I regret if I yeah.
Right. Totally. Yeah. I really appreciate you asking this. Um, I would say that I'm pretty much someone who don't regret much. So
Mm,
everything is my choice. So everything is my choice, right? So I'm responsible for my decisions. I mean, definitely there are some time that I may have a little bit FOMO, but that feeling can quickly pass out. I would
mm,
say in the end, it's all like I am a grown up, and it is my decision, right? Everything is a trade-off. The major, I mean, the major belief that I got is I am not that talented, right? So I'm not a genius. If I'm a
mm,
genius, uh, then probably I can do 5 things, and I'll do them very well, right? There are people there are definitely genius in my college who can do 5 things, 10 things, all pretty well, right? But I'm not one of them. If I'm not genius, then I don't have the luxury. Then I have to make my own decisions. I have to make my own choices. I have to make my own sacrifices there. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say that I did get a chance to go to Columbia, right? And also I did go to Columbia um, uh, to to have another year of the transfer in economics and finance. So it all ended up pretty well. So during that year, I got the totally like it's more like I exposed to a totally different world. And also since that year, I cannot bring the grade back to Peking University. So meaning I can choose whatever I want. And also I don't worry about my grades like anymore in that year. So actually I did a lot of internship. I participate a lot of I would say the school events, the unions, and other things there. And also I did some of the business actually. Um, so it's a pretty fun year that even out pretty well, in my
Mm.
opinion.
Nice. I mean, happy that you feel this way. Um, but then let's go over to the things that happened afterwards. So you said that you finished university. You did 1 year in Colombia. What was the next step here?
Yeah, then actually, yeah, because of my year at Columbia, and also because of I was doing some of the business during my college, and also my group like my good grade, I actually got the opportunity to get full fellowship from Columbia Business School, from Columbia Business School to study quant finance as my
Mm.
PhD, right? So that was totally a very good differentiator point for me, right? In that I realized that I couldn't study physics anymore. Though I can do well in grades, I'm really not talented there, right? I want to study something that on one I can do well, but second I'm also talented with. So I would say, uh, so at that time I thought finance is this area. It is very impactful to the whole world, right? And also I can do it well, and also I got full fellowship. But then after I got into Columbia, I was studying the school. So I would say I did relatively well with the research. At the same time, um, uh, I also founded the startup of building a mobile app for dog lovers. The major reason there is so at Columbia, so it's pretty much about this relief, right? After the college very intense coursework, hard working year, I just want to relax a little bit, right? And after I got into graduate school, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna have some of the fun, you know, and I really love dogs, especially pugs. They are so cute. So I got a pug when he was actually 8 weeks old. So he looked exactly like a potato at the time. He looked like exactly like a potato at the time. So that's why I named him Potato.
Nice.
Yeah, he's super, super cute. But when he was around 3 months old, he was diagnosed that he had a heart disease,
Mm.
and to be honest, I so I didn't realize I could have so much bonding with the dog in
Mm.
so short time, right? Just a few months. But
Mm.
I actually cried for probably one day after I know that my dog was detected with heart disease. So I really cried. I was super, super sad. And I just wanted to do something for him. I just wanted to do something for him. And then I started to realize, you know what, I want to record about his pictures. I want to record about his videos. And then I started doing it. And then I started to talk more with the other dog owners, dog lovers in dog parks, right? And I found out that many of them, especially in New York, they also have this bonding with dogs. They also have this bonding with dogs, and also they share my feelings. Some of them like it's their second dog. Their first dog passed away a few years ago. They share a lot of emotional feelings with the dogs, and also we help each other. About like what dogs could eat, where to take them to the parks, how to socialize with them, things like that. Then I start to realize, what, maybe there should be a community of dog lovers, and it isn't there yet. And on one side, I want to record about my dog's memories. On the other side, I want to help this community. Or I want to help to build this community, right? So I actually
Which year is this? Sorry, excuse me. What year are we talking about now?
What year is probably 2012 or 2013. So probably my second year or third year back in my PhD program. Yeah. So I just wanted to do something, but at that time, I didn't don't know much about coding. I didn't know much about mobile apps. So I actually downloaded 500 mobile apps. I also didn't know much about design, UI, UX. I didn't know any of those. So I downloaded around 500 mobile apps. I just studied them one by one. The wireframing, the UI, the UX, the workflows there, right? And then I start to study about the Objective-C, the way to code the mobile app, and also Ruby on Rails, the backend. Started coding it. So build my mobile app for dogs, which I named it Wagtail as a dog wagging its tail.
So you didn't download 5, you didn't download 50, you download 500. So this is what market research means actually, right?
Yes. Yeah, I really wanted to learn all of those because it's mainly because I didn't know anything about it. I'm totally, you see, like my background was physics in my undergrad and also finance in my graduate school. Actually, most of my classmates in my finance program, they are now in either Citadel or the other hedge funds or other PE funds, or actually in Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan as their head of quant investment, things like that. So I so none of our group actually know anything about mobile app at all, right? So I have to study everything myself. Yeah, but definitely I also got help. I also work with some of the other freelancers, right? To get some of the freelancers to also participate, right? To build out this whole thing there. But I was the one leading everything. The other thing there is about the community management, right? So building a community for dog lovers, like mobile app for dog lovers, you also need to maintain this community, grow this community. And one thing very interesting that I later realized is how hard to manage a community, especially a community of dog lovers. So I would say the demography of that community is probably 99% female, age from 18 years old to probably 50 or 60 years old.
Okay.
So it's a very interesting demography of the dog lovers, and they are very engaged. The dog mall is very high. The retention is very high. And I still remember that, so I was doing lean startup at the time. So there was a backend feature of keep loading more posts, and I keep loading more comments. And I didn't implement it because I felt it's now not a P0 feature. So I only implemented a feature of loading the first 100 comments because I felt, there is no way that in a thread there could be more than 100 comments, right? But quickly, we exceeded that limit because there are a lot of debates, there are a lot of discussions there. So we quickly exceeded all that one. So maintaining the community actually all become very, very hard. Yeah, but I would say this is a very interesting experience for me of uh, uh, getting exposure into a new area there, right? And the area is not because of business. It's not because of I want to make some money. It's because of I want to solve some problems, right? And and also I want to build something for myself. I want to solve problems for the community. I wanted to make some impacts there. And in the end, I would say I really love it. But to be honest, in the end, I actually killed this app. I ended this app. The major reason there is there was just no business model. there was just no business model because from the starting point, I was trying to build something for my dog, right? I was trying to record his memories. And also I was trying to build something for a community. I didn't start with anything about business model, business thinking at all. And
Which is funny because you're doing a PhD in finance, right?
exactly,
And economics. So
exactly.
you would think this is now into your is your daily business,
Yeah,
literally.
yeah,
You would think that this is something that would come very easily to you, or at least be on your awareness windows. But I mean, obviously, you were interested in the dog and here totally being a user first, right? Versus a business and entrepreneur first. Interesting.
totally. It is a very good lesson that I learned. I mean, uh, for me, I would say I have a lot of lessons that I learned
Mm.
over the past, right? So this is also one of the very important lessons that I started something. So I really think I built a really great product. It ranked super on top of App Store. It's actually the number one dog lover app in the United States at the time. It was the number one, and the review was almost all 5-star reviews. There was only one star review because the person got some debate with the other people, so got super pissed off, and then left a 1-star review. But all the others were 5-star reviews there. But because I didn't start with some business thinking, business model, it turned out that it couldn't be sustainable, right? So it's a really, really hard lesson for me that I had to kill the app that I really loved. And there were also even some of the other dog lovers, they were like, hey Steve, we can donate, we can sponsor, we can donate. Please don't kill this app. But in the end, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna kill it because no, there is no way that it can sustain. But I
Yeah.
mean, in the middle, I actually did get 2 term sheets from VCs in Silicon Valley, but I actually turned them down. The major reason there is having realized that you know this is something uh, I started for my dog. It wasn't started with the business sense, and also still I didn't have a very good thinking of how I could make money in the future. I would rather not take others' money. So I want to be responsible of my time and also the investors' time. I mean, like this probably is the only option, to terminate the app. Yeah, but it is pretty sad. It is pretty sad.
This is a crazy detour from what I guess my guests expect to because when we started, this is someone who is in the field of robotics AI. This is what we are on the podcast mainly, but I like this kind of detours of things that are not so common, right? Because
Yeah,
a dog lover and then getting into building apps, mobile apps, and then actually building these and sustain them and build a community around them. But as you said, there's always a lot of learnings when you get out of your path, right? And trying to understand other things. Because then you do need to teach yourself a lot of things that are not among the topics that you're usually familiar with. How, maybe it would be interesting to see how you're going to close that gap, how you're going to walk that bridge from that mobile app to what you guys are doing today.
totally, totally. Yeah, it's very interesting. So I would say there were some of the good learnings that I had during this experience, right? One is I found out that actually technology is very impactful and also it's very fun, right? By building this mobile app, like I would say probably the first week's download exceeded my whole year's download of my paper at the time, right? So that actually got me think, okay, you know what? I wouldn't go into academia because so I wouldn't get that much impact as compared to technology, right? The other thing there is um, uh, by building this app, I'm working with so many different type of people. I'm communicating with so many people, right? And this openness of the community is very exciting for me, right? I love to interact with all the different type of people there. But I would say I don't want to join a hedge fund, because in hedge fund it's a very constrained environment,
Yeah.
right? Cannot share your code. There were very few people who are making tons of money, right? Right. Rather than you are actually contributing to a society, you are contributing to a community. So that also I would say this detour on one side is a detour, on the other side it helped me to really make up my mind that I want to get into technology,
Mm.
right? Because it's more impactful, it's more open, it's more fun for me. But then I would say the other thing is I always wanted to build a business myself. It's just deep in my root that I wanted to build a business, right? But I have built a really failed business. And the reason there is because I didn't start with a business model, business thinking, right? It also got me into this thinking that, you know what, for whatever that I'm gonna build next, I'm gonna start with a real business case that I can make money from day one. So that's really what taught me, right? And I would say after my graduate, then I got into technology. I actually back in 2018, I got into Silicon Valley. I joined Cruise. At that time, Cruise was probably the number one or number two leading robot taxi company in the whole world,
Mm.
right? So I was leading their simulation department. And that's also very interesting. You know, it's not like I led their simulation in day one. I actually started to so I started to own their trip quality. Then I found out it's not something that impactful. Then I was then I asked my boss, and he assigned me to HD map, which is something more impactful, but also that is something unfair at the time for the whole team. So he sees me as a potential problem solver, that I can help to solve a problem. And because I successfully solved that problem, then I got put into simulation to solve a bigger problem. But anyway, so I was lucky to be put on simulation. I was lucky to solve the simulation problem and the problem was it started as a toy, you know, because everyone's talking about simulation at the time, how important it is for self-driving. But at that time, it was really a toy. You know, it's more like a video game. It's more
Mm-hmm.
like it's a video game, right? So it looks pretty cool, but actually, the data it generates, it wouldn't help the perception of the
Mm.
autonomous algorithms, right? And it's a pretty interesting problem to solve, right? So I would say you see all my detours, all my up and downs in my college year, in my PhD year, it got me into a mechanism of really loving challenges, really loving to solve difficult problems. So I saw this as a problem that I could potentially solve. So there were a few things that I did. The first thing is I start to dive into the problem, like why, like, so what is the root cause of this? So what is the root cause why simulation data couldn't be used to train perception algorithms? I would say the root cause is we just don't know how good the data is. There's no way to evaluate the data. There is no way to validate the simulation, right? In order for it to be useful, we actually have to know that where we are right now, right? And what is the gap? We need to be able to measure the gap in order to improve it. So I actually built up a mechanism to measure the symptomal gap. And then I leverage more AI, I leverage more other solutions to tackle the symptomal gap. In the end, the synthetic data was successfully put into the training infrastructure, and boom, the training results came back, like all the KPIs jump, right? So that's a very, I would say, significant moment for me to have this strong belief that simulation, synthetic data can really help to accelerate physical AI, right? Starting from self-driving, potentially in the future robotics.
But there's always a gap between seeing something, doing something, and then deciding, you know what, I'm gonna leave now and I'm gonna do my own thing. I mean, you've proved a few times that you are capable of doing this, right? Leaving physics and or leaving China and going to the US,
Right.
and then leaving physics and going to finance and economics. But
Right.
then again, the app is another example. But now being in one of the, as you said, one of the top companies doing
Right.
simulation here, then deciding, you know what, I solved a few problems here, obviously,
Right.
um, but now I'm gonna do something on my own. How did this come together?
Oh, actually, it didn't come up that easily.
Mm,
So I really have so I would say since that moment of seeing the synthetic data can really help to accelerate self-driving, I knew that this is the thing that I want to do in the future, potentially as a business. But I wasn't very confident of myself at the
mm,
time. The major reason there is I was only in one shop. I was only in one company, which is Cruise, right? I don't know how the other company was solving this problem. The other thing there is I don't even know whether this is something that can be solved from outside, right? All
mm,
this must be an internal team to solve this, right? And then I would say I'm lucky enough that NVIDIA approached me. Actually, Jensen wants to really have a real Jensen wants to build up a really great self-driving team at the time, right? So he was looking for a head of autonomous driving simulation. And because I'm a pretty good leader at that time for autonomous driving simulation, then they approached me to join NVIDIA at the time. So then basically I joined NVIDIA as the head of autonomous driving simulation. And the reason I was joining there was so actually at that time, to be honest, to be completely honest, I didn't expect NVIDIA could be as big as today. I didn't expect it could be as big as today. But I knew it was really a great hard tech company. It has a really, really great culture. The other thing that I really love is solving the problem from a provider perspective, right? Because NVIDIA is providing this self-driving solution for example, Mercedes and other OEMs, right? So they are trying to provide simulation as a solution
mm,
for other OEMs, right? And I would say that can give me this exposure of, understanding this problem better from a provider perspective, right? So that's why I joined NVIDIA. And actually, after that, I actually also joined NIO. NIO is another OEM back in China, right? It's an EV company. Help NIO to build up their simulation solution. The major reason there is I really wanted to see what is the best way to tackle this, right? So I feel it's best. I have the experience of the most leading alpha company, the best provider in the world, but also the customer itself, meaning the OEM, right? I want to see from all those aspects of how I can potentially help to solve a problem, whether I'm capable enough, whether I can gain more exposure, understanding enough in order for me to really make up my mind of
mm.
building my. So after those three, I would say really wonderful experiences, then I actually came out back in 2023, founded LiveWell to build this solution for, I would say, physical AI.
This is a great story. I mean, I was doing a little bit of research earlier on, and but hearing you, it seems more of a coherent picture that you're painting. As you said, being within one of the companies and then joining joining um, NVIDIA and then joining the OEM itself. So all parts of the chain, so to speak, giving you the opportunity to tackle and see and evaluate the problem from different perspectives, and then making up your mind. Okay, I got something here. So where are you guys now? You funded in 2023. So yeah, tell us a little bit about you guys. I think
Yeah,
the
totally.
majority of people who are interested in tech are waiting for this moment now.
Totally. Yeah. So I would say we were actually pretty lucky. But I would say still back in 2023, uh, we so at the starting point we weren't that lucky because back in 2023, so I think we founded the company back in 2023 January. And at that time, I was trying to pitch to investors to say, hey, you know what? I want to build this simulation for robotics company to accelerate robotics. Their question is not about simulation. Their question is about robotics. And their question is, what is robotics? Is robotics, the vacuum cleaner in your home? Or is the robotics just like the arms in the factories?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to build something for humanoids. I want to build something for more generalized robotics. And they're like, where are they? I was like, Tesla is building one. They're like, oh yeah, but it's only Tesla, right? But how about others? I was like, they will soon come. They're like, but they are not coming yet. So who are gonna build this for? So I got challenged for all those type of questions there. And I would say all those questions are very, very valid for me. And also thinking of my, I would say, my mobile app experience for dog lovers, I realized that, you know what, I need to build something that I can make money from day one. Then I start to realize, you know what, rather than focus on the robotics customers because they are not there yet, I probably should focus on the OEMs, right? The car manufacturers, all of them, they are building the next generation of autonomous driving technology, right? And because it's the next generation autonomous driving technology, because of the scaling law, they will need much more data than before. Then they have much more corner cases to solve. And there is no way that they can use their real data collection car to drive through all the corner cases. So they must leverage synthetic data simulation. So we will just build this synthetic data solution for them to sell them to help them to improve their models there. So we were actually pretty lucky that we got almost quite a few really global leading OEMs and providers. For example, actually NVIDIA is also our customer in this. Bosch is our customer in this. Wave is our customer in this. BYD, Chang'an, Geely, like quite a few world's leading OEMs. Li Auto, they are our customers of this, right? That actually help us to build up a pretty good team, a very good execution-driven culture, good revenue stream, the data pipeline, the data engine, the platform, everything, right? But still, I would say, so that was probably the end of 2023, right? We have built up all those things there because we are already serving all the global leading OEMs for synthetic data. But still, I wanted to get into robotics. I wanted to solve embodied AI problems. That's something new, right? So I don't want to build something that I keep doing. I want to build something to challenge myself, right? So I want to get into the embodied AI industry. But I would say at that time, on one side, the timing is not right because though there were a few companies starting to pop up, they are still in the demo mode, so they didn't need that much simulation or data. The other thing there is my mindset wasn't right either. I was being a little bit too confident because I was already expert in simulation, in autonomous driving simulation, right? And I also felt that embodied AI is something new, right? I can probably teach embodied AI something about simulation. So I always have this mindset of I know a lot. I will just copy paste my pipeline from self-driving to embodied AI. It would work. But then I found out that when I was discussing with the potential customers there, we just don't speak the same language at all. Then I suddenly realized, you know what? I didn't know anything. So I didn't. At that time I started to realize I didn't know anything about embodied AI. I didn't know anything about robotics. All my understanding, all my projection was based off my understanding of self-driving simulation, right? I have to actually be an elementary school student again, right? To really learn this from 0 to 1. Then actually, you know what? I started to talk to undergraduate students.
Mm.
Because I would say there are quite a few really great undergraduate students. They publish a lot of great papers with the top professors in the world, right? So I started to invite the undergrad students to dinner, to talk to them, to learn from them, and then start to talk to PhD students, then start to talk to professors, then start to talk to the leading experts in this whole industry. Then I started to realize, oh, you know what? This thing is totally different than what I was expecting.
Mm.
Problem set is totally different too. And there actually is a huge problem of simulation, but it's not the simulation that I understood for self-driving simulation. And it all starts with sim-ready SIs. It's very interesting because I would say for simulation, there is the deep down. Whenever we talk about simulation, everyone was thinking about the simulation solver, right? The simulator, the solver, right? The physics solver, right? Like in self-driving, in robotics, that's probably the physics, Newton, Genesis, Allegorical layer, right? But actually, above the solver, there's also the rendering technology. Above that, there is also the sim-ready assets and scenes. For example, there should be the fridge, there should be the home, there should be the grass ground, things like that, right? And also on top of that, there should be the frameworks, API, SDKs, allow everyone to leverage the simulation service. Then I suddenly realized that there's just no good simulation sim-ready assets. Everyone was using, like very, very basic SIs, like the rigid body SIs that doesn't have very good collision measure, that doesn't have the very good collision, that's not very accurate, that is not articulated yet, right? And also that's not efficient to run, right? And without a sim-ready assets, like no one can generate high quality simulation. The sim-ready assets is almost like for example, if you want to cook good food, you have to have good fish, you have to have good meat. You just don't have the good steak yet. So how can you cook it?
Yeah.
Right. So that's the problem I found. Then I just asked all my team to jump into the sim-ready SI problem back in 2024. All my team to solve it.
So how big is the team now?
The team right now is, I would say, is already close to 150 people.
Nice.
Yeah. We So I would say the team grew pretty fast because
Yeah.
if you ask me probably 6 months ago, it's probably around 100.
Mm.
So we increased a lot. The major reason there is now I would say we are like the business is really booming. We started from the sim-ready asset since, and then we start to generate data from the sim-ready asset since by leveraging the human teleoperation in simulation, sell this data to frontier labs, and then we started building evals, the best evals for those frontier labs. The major reason there is right now, I would say the VLA models, especially the frontiers VLA models, they are getting so good that all the open source academia benchmarks couldn't measure their success, right? I would say behavior challenge is definitely a very good one, right? Behavior challenge is really, really difficult. But for the others, for example, Libero, Robocasa, and the others, like currently a lot of the top frontier labs, VLAs, they already exceed the ceiling of the benchmarks.
Mm.
So those labs, they not only need data to help them to accelerate their model building, they also need better evals for them, right? So on one hand, we are selling the data. On the other hand, we are selling the evals there. It's pretty interesting that we got into the place where we are today. Yeah.
Very well positioned, especially as you said, for what's coming. But what is coming? What are the next moves for you guys? I mean, you're still pretty young, as you said. You have a lot of big OEMs as customer and clients already. A very steady revenue stream. You said the industry is booming. So what's next? What's 2026 for you guys?
For sure, yeah. We just closed a round of around probably 60 million US dollar. We just closed a round of this. So yeah, now we are getting more, I would say, please to even shoot higher. So I would say, so I want to paint two pictures. The first one is data pyramid. I'm a strong believer of data pyramid, right? Like on the top is the real teleops data, in the middle is the synthetic data, and in the bottom is the human egocentric data, egocentric human data, right? And I would say that we started from the simulation data, but we don't want to be just simulation data. We want to be simulation centric rather than simulation only. We want to provide this full data pyramid solution to our customers because they need more data, they need better data, and we already we already have the pipeline. We can actually add more solutions there. So one more thing that we are adding is egocentric human data. Now we already have a team of around 1,000 outsourced people collecting egocentric data in the world right now, right? And they are leveraging a few different type of devices by ourselves. So I'm a huge believer of the non-robotics body-related data sources, scaling sources. One is simulation, the other is egocentric human. I really believe that those two scaling efficiency far more exceeds the real teleops data scaling efficiency, right? So it's very important for us to add our customer value, to provide more value to our customers through our existing channel, right? By providing egocentric human data. And also it's a very good, and also we are also working with the top frontier labs in the world to build the best practices of data pyramid, right? Because our customers, they have probably, tens of thousands of GPUs. So they are collaborating with us to experiment on what's the best mixing strategy, egocentric human, synthetic data, and also real data in order for the pre-train to best perform, right? So I would say this is the data pyramid. We want to not only serve simulation, we want to serve all type of data, especially egocentric human data. The second picture I want to paint is the three scaling law that Jensen mentioned, right? The pre-train scaling law, the post-train scaling law, and also the test time scaling law. So three things: pre-train, post-train, and test time, right? So they are just the cycle of the model, right? I would say for now, our data solution mainly capture the first cycle and also the second cycle, the pre-train and also the post-train, right? And we didn't have very good solution for the test time, which now we are adding the eval, right? We are going to announce our eval product right now. It's going to be more and more challenging evals, more and more challenging benchmarks for our customers, right? Leveraging all sorts of simulators, especially the SISIM, SILab ecosystem, right? In order to help to really challenge our customers' VLAs. But the other thing I want to mention a little bit is post-train, right? I really see that in the future, the post-train shouldn't be only solved by data, but also by reinforcement learning, right? It's much more like the DeepSeek moment. We are actually collaborating with a few frontier labs together to build out this VLA RL fine-tuning service for them. So rather than doing the RL in the real world, we are helping them to do the RL fine-tuning of their VLAs in simulation at large scale. Some of our customers are already leveraging a few thousand GPUs to do the reinforcement learning fine-tuning of their VLAs in our SIM API, SIM environments already, right? So I feel this can also be something quite interesting and also adding a lot of value for our customers. So to sum up, two pictures, right? The first one is the data pyramid. We started from the middle as the simulation synthetic data. We want to actually provide the whole data pyramid. The second picture, the pre-train, post-train, and test time, right? We started as pre-train, then with the synthetic data to support the post-train and also the real data support the post-train. But we want to add the, reinforcement learning fine-tuning for the post-train. And also we want to provide the reinforcement learning fine-tuning for the pre-train. So we are actually collaborating with a few frontier labs to build out this VLA RL fine-tuning service for them. So rather than doing the RL in the real world, we are helping them to do the RL fine-tuning of their VLAs in simulation at large scale. Some of our customers are already leveraging a few thousand GPUs to do the reinforcement learning fine-tuning of their VLAs in our SIM API, SIM environments already, right? So I feel this can also be something quite interesting and also adding a lot of value for our customers. So to sum up, more and more challenging evolves for the test time, so that we can support the full cycle needs for our customers.
I mean, there's the challenge, the full cycle, and not getting lost in between, like focusing on the core strength, but also understanding that this is something that I see with robotics companies too, right?
Yeah,
When we're talking about manufacturing deployment, we see a better or improved or perfect solution in an imperfect, not streamlined workflow. And here, not realizing that you can only to a certain degree bring value to the customer. When I talk to customers, when I talk to
yeah,
clients regarding their KPIs they would like to improve for their customers, it's very hard
yeah,
to measure them. So if you're
right,
unable to measure them, then it's very hard to put a price tag on them.
yeah,
So because the majority of, especially you said you're working with OEMs,
yeah,
they're not looking for one part of the solution. They're looking for a turnkey solution.
right,
They don't want to take your solution and bring them into. I mean, they're a system integrator that does that, but preferably they're looking for something that is within the line, right? That is
yeah.
part of the line versus needs to be integrated in the line. That was a nice detour. Thanks. Maybe I should start to do also more technical deep dives, maybe as an extension of the podcast. Thanks for giving us such insights. I hope I was able to serve some of the very tech people in my podcast as my audience. I'm very happy that you said yes and gave us your story because there's a lot of lessons that needs to be learned here. Something that comes first, work very hard for a longer period of time. Secondly, being able to understand the bigger picture and but also putting yourself out into the uncomfort zones because the growth, this is where the growth is happening, right? When you stay where you are, I mean, you do need to do this for a longer period of time to gather and yeah, to get this kind of deep technical knowledge, right?
Yeah.
But also to find out what's out there and as you said to serve and solve bigger problems. So it's again I think it was a wonderful class how to build a company, especially the example you gave earlier with joining three different companies to see the same kind of problem from different perspectives. Steve, I'm very happy that you said yes. I'm looking forward to see what's next for you guys. As you said, closing the round gives you new opportunities, new resources, and yeah, I'm keeping an eye on you guys.
Thank you so much, Ilya. Yeah, really appreciate your invitation. And like your podcast has always been a motivation and also inspiration for me. So yeah,
Nice.
excited to work more in the future.
Thank you very much for saying this. Makes me happy. Take care and enjoy the rest of the day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.